If you have a $200,000 property, we are going to be in that investment for no more than $130,000. So if we do, and we haven't had to foreclose on a single property in our fund, if we do have to foreclose, we have an equity cushion by which we're going to have a capital gains play at the end.
Welcome to the Going Long Podcast. We're back once again to continue to help to educate you so that you feel much more comfortable as well as confident investing beyond your backyard. And guess what? Yep, it's me, Billy Keels. I'm your host, and I'm really looking forward to sharing today's conversation with you. I know you're going to get so much value out of it, meaning that you're going to get actionable insights that you can actually put into practice so that you can gain much more confidence and control of your financial life, which gives you better outcomes moving forward in your life. But before that, we get to that, one of the things that I would like to share with you once again. First and foremost, I know that so many of you are on this journey with us, and you're continuing to see us move up the charts, which is fantastic. And thanks largely in part to your continued honest reviews that you're leaving, as well as your ratings. And if you haven't had a chance to do that yet, go ahead, just take a couple seconds. Think about any one episode that you've listened to that's helped you, that you've gotten a chance to move forward on, getting closer to your goals, your dreams. And we've even put a link here in the video. If you're on the Apple platform, it's fantastic. If you're not, we also have a video that will show you how to leave ratings and reviews in other places, which will be greatly, greatly appreciated. So, like I said, if you haven't done a written review, go ahead and take a second to do that. And then also, a lot of you are asking constantly, or we're getting requests like, hey, Billy, I can't find this interview, or I'm looking for that interview, or I want to listen to that again, or I want to see this particular interview. You can go get every single interview. If you go to billykeels.com, you can find it there. And once you go to billykeels.com, just look under the podcast tab. Once you just click on the podcast, you can see every single interview that we have ever done, the audio, the video version, all the guest responses and things like that. So just go to billykeels.com. And once you're there, just look under the podcast tab and you'll find it there. And then lastly, I know that a lot of you who are accredited investors, and once again, those are people that have $1 million in net worth, not including your primary residence, or if you're looking at your income, if you're single and you've done that, you're $200,000 a year for the previous 2 years and you're expected to earn that this year, or as a family or household, $300,000 previous 2 years and you're expected to do that this year. If you want to know more about our accredited investor club that's just getting started, so if you want to be a part of this group of people, not only we're going to look at new opportunities that are available, but we're just going to get together and we're going to talk about things that are important for accredited investors who are just getting started, or accredited investors who have been there. So we're going to get a group of people together where we can share. We have common goals, common interests. And that is the Accredited Investor Club. So just send an email to aiclub@billykeels.com. Once again, that's aiclub@billykeels.com. So as we get into today's conversation, it's a great conversation. I really, really enjoyed this. You're going to get a lot out of it, especially if you are, once again, you're a high-paid professional. You're really, really busy. And so you have very limited time, and you want to be able to understand where can you get the best return, not only on your time, but on the capital that you're placing. Being able to create multiple streams of income is something that is very important for each and every one of you so that you can gain more control over the financial outcomes of your life. So today we're going to get a chance to learn from someone who's literally written the book on this particular topic. It is a topic that we've not really discussed a lot, but it is one that can create additional streams of monthly income. And this is one of the things that I know a lot of people are interested in learning more about. But you got to start out with the education. So when you're looking to add a new tool into your tool belt so that you can get more financial freedom moving forward, and you can do that from literally anywhere in the world, being connected with and understanding from the right team, we're going to go into this specific topic, the different types of basically their notes, the different types of notes that exist. What are some of the different vocabulary? What are some of the different questions that you can be asking? And most importantly, what are some of the potential challenges that are out there that you should be aware of? And then what's the upside so that you can get more control over the financial outcomes of your life? We've got a great guest. His name is Saenz, and he's going to add so much value to you. I know you're going to enjoy today's conversation, and we're going to get to that in just a couple of seconds, right after this. Whether you're an active investor or a passive investor, you really like your day job and you want to continue to go into your day job every single day feeling better, knowing that you've created the right options for yourself. At the same time, you just don't have enough time to really get your head around, spend all the hours investing long distance. Well, one way or the other, over the last number of years that I have been investing long distance, I've really understood a number of the major mistakes that you should avoid if you want to get to creating the right options for yourself much faster and being able to create more income sooner. And if you want to do that, if you want to understand more about that, I've made it really, really simple. You can just go to billykeels.com/7 mistakes to avoid. You can learn all the things that the 7 major mistakes that I've seen over and over again that I want you to avoid. Once again, you can go to billykeels.com/7 mistakes to avoid. If you're looking to understand how to bring social good into smart investing to accelerate your long distance investing journey, then guess what? Today's the conversation that you're going to want to listen to until the very last word. You know why? Because today's guest not only started his career by founding a museum exhibit and fabrication company that served federal as well as large commercial sector. Wow, I really want to hear more about that. He also has a background in philosophy and also his MBA. And he has written the book on note investing called Note Investing Made Easier for Others. And also he's written 4 other books. So he's going to have to tell us a little bit about that journey. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome to today's conversation, the managing partner of Bequest Funds, Martin Saenz. Martin, welcome to the show, man.
Billy, thanks for having me on. It's my pleasure.
Hey, I really look forward to having this conversation today, helping the entire Going Long family understand more about a specific strategy to be able to gain more control and more freedom of their lives. So, and I know you have lots of expertise and you're going to really, really help us out with that. But before we get to that, Martin, everybody here gets at least the same 5 questions. You're going to get 2 in the beginning, you're going to get 3 in the middle, and then you and I are going to have a great conversation in between. And the audience and the family of Going Long here is going to get the chance to know you much, much more. So with that being stated, very first thing, help us understand, Martin, where is it that you live in the United States?
Yes, so it's a city called Sarasota, Florida, and it's on the west coast side of Florida, and literally right on the water. I can look out my office window and see the Sarasota Bay that lets out to the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, fantastic! Wow, very nice on the west side there, and looking out over the Gulf of Mexico, which is fantastic.
It's a very family-oriented place. I have 4 children, 9 to 3 in age range. And so it's just a great place to raise a family.
Fantastic. Father of 4, man, that is awesome, man. You're going to have to share some of this tips and tricks and how you're able to do it. We have 2 and we stay really, really busy. We love it. But I'm sure a lot more that I can learn from you in that area. So Sarasota, Florida, really appreciate that. And then the entire Going Long family knows, Martin, I am a big fan of positive energy and really understanding the positive vibe. So help us understand, what is the most positive thing that's happened to you in the last 24 hours?
Yeah, so I'd have to start with this morning. The kids go to a private school that teaches kids in a very low technology format, whereby they're really, the emphasis is on critical thinking, and so they do a lot of activities that connect parents and kids. So I went to what's called an all pro dads meeting this morning. So it's other fathers of kids that go to school there, plus with the kids. So we all kind of go together in the auditorium and we connect and we celebrate current successes with our children together in an open format. And it's just a great feel good event. But I also have another one as well. Yesterday I did a if I can do 2, can I do? Am I allowed?
Sure. You can over deliver, man. You can over deliver here. We're good with that.
So, I did a radio show yesterday that attracts, I think, about 30,000 listeners, and it's just great to know, like, programs like yours and the ones I did yesterday. All of these programs are so incredibly vital to our society today, because there's so much attention that are taking people every which way, and to have programs like yours and the one I did yesterday help bring things into focus and help people really just kind of commit to themselves financially, spiritually, and whatnot, I mean, is very valuable in today's world.
Wow, fantastic. Congratulations for continuing to be able to go out and share your message and your word. Like I said, when I knew more about you, wanted to absolutely have you here to share your knowledge and expertise in an area that we have not really had a chance to dive into too much here. But once again, the goal is to help people to gain much more control and have more options for their financial lives, for their family lives, and being able to do that on a foundation that is absolutely solid. So appreciate you over delivering on the positivity. Definitely. Yeah. I know we need so much of that nowadays. And you know what, Martin? The entire Going Long family knows that I give myself this impossible task. And I kind of make a joke about it every time. Like, I try to tell your backstory, like you've done so many things, and I try to do that in like 3 seconds. It's impossible to do that. But I always like to try and give myself impossible tasks, get people to connect with you, and get people to continue to stay here and watch and listen and learn from you. So although I did try, I would love for you to share your own backstory in your own words for the entire Going Long family. And then from there, we'll see kind of where the conversation goes.
Yeah, absolutely. I can give you the pretty version in terms of, I have 2 master's degrees. I did corporate America, hated it. My wife and I launched our own federal contracting company, and we really found just 100-hour work weeks. We found just a brutal schedule. And we built that company up and sold it in 2013. My wife and I have been a buy and hold real estate investor since 2009. So we own and manage a portfolio of commercial and residential properties in the DC area primarily. And I've been operating a hedge fund since 2013, and we have several thousand mortgages that we manage, that we own and manage, myself and my partner. And that's really kind of the pretty version. But I suspect that a lot of people that listen to your program, they're at a point where they need to make a leap and they need to make a leap forward. They probably realize they're not where they need to be. That's why they're listening to your program, and to help get inspiration or help get guidance, logistics, or what have you, to help move themselves to the next step. And I can just tell you that overcoming my fears was probably the biggest thing that I've been able to do in my life, and many of them are unrealized and never actually come to fruition. So it's just a matter of kind of conquering your own mind has been probably the most valuable thing I've done in all of what I just mentioned. And I'm very far from being at that point where I can say I've conquered my mind. It's an ongoing guarding of what goes into my head and how I process it.
So I love that you share this with us, and as you get to you've done the education thing and the multiple MBAs, you started your own company, you did the corporate thing, you realized that corporate wasn't your deal, right? And then as you started going to your own business and hundreds of hours and all this kind of stuff, which is interesting because most people don't share that part of the story, Martin. Most people think, well, I'm going to leave my corporate job and I'm going to go start my own business, and it's going to be all like unicorns and perfect. And the reality is usually you're putting in a lot more time and effort because you want to be able to serve your customers and your clients at the highest level, right? To be able to do these types of things. But as you said something at the end, which is one of the things I really want to pick up on is the whole mindset piece. And right, because I live in Europe. And when I first started thinking about buying and investing either passively or actively in assets that were literally tens of thousands of kilometers or miles away, most people would be like, why in the world would you do that? I even had that like sensation, like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. But you said that a lot of them don't happen, like that we put these like kind of mental constructs in our mind. And there's definitely validity in that. And also when the things do happen that you have in your mind, do you find that it's typically 50% of what you thought it was or 120% of what you thought it was?
Yeah, I mean, much less than 50%. And what's interesting about, one's mind or spirit is I found that I learned was humility and small business ownership and, making payroll and especially making payroll the day of on a number of occasions. Those are humbling experiences. And once you learn humility and you learn that, hey, you recognize you need help from others. You need a community. You need, a relationship with a spiritual power. You need things outside yourself, and it's not just you. And so once you kind of learn that, and then it makes you more genuine when you're interacting with people, and they makes them want to help you, the more humble you are. So just kind of learning that lesson is really just the first lesson. And then the next lesson is, okay, overcoming your fears of, I can do this regardless of the location. What's so fascinating is that there's so many small business operators and just business professionals and people in general that run their operations in the ground, whereby they work physically in that operation on a day-to-day basis. So why is it that you have to be in some physical proximity to be able to successfully operate a company when that's not true? There's so many operators that operate from across the globe and operate successful ventures across the globe.
Yeah, successfully operated ventures is something that takes place, and there's Michael Gerber that talks about being able to work on your business rather than in your business, and it is not something that happens literally overnight. It's something that if you surround yourself with the right people, you can accelerate being able to work on your business sooner than working in your business. And I even put my hand up. I spent so much time like working a day job and then working and trying to do everything myself. And then I started realizing like, wow, I can't really be doing all this kind of stuff all myself because I have a wife and kids that I want to spend time with. Like, that's why I'm doing a lot of this stuff. And so then you realize, okay, wow, I've got to design the right thing. I've got to put the process in place. And then most importantly is have the right people on the bus. And then from there, things get better. Things can absolutely get better.
Yeah.
I wanted to pick up on one other thing too, because this is kind of like to the thesis of this show. I think you said that you live in Sarasota, Florida, right?
Correct.
Wife and 4 kids. But then you have commercial and residential properties in Washington, D.C. So that by definition is very much long distance. So
with no property managers, I self-manage from DC. From Florida.
Wow. Okay. So okay, good. Fantastic. Listen. So this is even better because I used to self-manage from Barcelona. I was self-managing my properties in the United States from Barcelona.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll probably talk about this 5 hours offline. But so here's one of the things. So a lot of times I read these books, and the books would say, "Hey, listen, you have to invest where you live." I fundamentally don't believe that because I've been doing something different. I'm not saying that you can't live in the same place. You absolutely can, but you don't have to. And the fact that you're actually doing it, I just am curious, Martin, like when most of the books say that you shouldn't, that you need to be in physical proximity, why is it that you actually, felt that you could and are actually doing investing, what I would say in a long distance format?
Yeah. So interesting question. Perhaps one should start locally, maybe, start just from in terms of researching, in terms of building their systems as if they were a local operator, and then take what they've learned and then expand that to a certain region. And maybe, someone should have a focus. So if you're from Barcelona and then you want to, be a landlord in the US market, you pick a specific region so you can have a focus and learn that region and maybe build relationships with property managers and GCs and, all these other players that are going to help you. So maybe just kind of as a starting point out of the gate as a confidence builder, but by no means do you have to be tied to a local market. We manage several thousand mortgages as a company. Forget the real estate holdings. I mean, several thousand mortgages across the United States. We have a mortgage in every state, and we never have to leave our office to do anything that we need to do in terms of managing our portfolio.
So that's really, really awesome. And there's a couple things. There's a couple things also I want to pull out of that. So one of the things that I like to talk to the Going Long family about is there kind of need to be 4 things that are in line in order to achieve a success or have the highest probability of achieving a successful outcome. First is, as you stated, really understand what is it that you want to achieve. Now, I go a little bit deeper and I like to say, are you looking for cash flow? Are you looking for tax benefits? Are you looking for some type of equity buildup over time? The things that typically I started with real estate that they can give you. And now there's just looking for businesses that can provide you a specific benefit. And then as you said go to the region, or I'll say go to a specific location that gives you the highest probability of achieving that outcome. And then without a doubt, at least in my opinion, I'd love to know what you think. The third element is really making sure that you have the right team that understands the location and the outcome that you are looking to, or the benefit that you're looking to derive. Once you have those kind of what you want to do, you're in the right location that gives you the highest probability, and you're aligned with the right team, you vetted them, you've done the due diligence, et cetera, then you can go into whatever the asset is that you want it to be. It can be notes, which we're going to talk about now. It can be buying a specific business. It could be buying a 250 unit apartment complex. It could be investing in energy equipment, because then once those four things are aligned, you have the highest probability of achieving the desired outcome, which brings back to what you were talking about at the very beginning. So thanks for telling us more about your long distance journey, why you were doing that.
I like what you're saying. Yeah. I'm totally in alignment with what you're saying. I would just add to it that, one should plan for scalability out of the gate too. What I see with a lot of operators, mom and pop operators in particular, and why a lot of people, kind of burn out or never achieve their full potential, is because they never account for hiring people. They never account for building a team around them, not just the external team, the property managers and whatnot operating in a region, but in your own business. You can't do this. No person's their own island. You can't do this alone, or you can't do this alone over the long run. And the sooner you start building in, hey, I need an assistant, I need, a controller, I need all these other functions. And you need to part with your money, knowing that that's an expense on, your investment. That's an investment you're making on yourself. And the ones that make that investment and scale and grow a team tend to be more successful, I believe.
Oh my gosh. So listen, and if you're running on the treadmill right now, or you're cooking dinner or something like that, just stop a second and go find this video and check out, I don't even know what minute this is, but you're watching it or you're listening. Check it out, because when Martin just mentioned that, the smile on my face went from ear to ear. Why is that? Because especially for a lot of people, if you're in a corporate role today and you're thinking, wow, I just want to see my bank account go up and up and up and up. And I'm telling you this from experience. Or sharing this with you from experience. You watch your bank account and it gives you this sense of security, but then you want to take that mindset into building your portfolio. Well, you actually have to release that cash. You have to make sure that cash is being placed in a way that is going to produce a greater result, especially as you're building your own business. And that typically comes by making sure that you understand how you want your organization to look. Is it that hiring that assistant? Is it getting someone that's going to be actually able to implement all of the things that most of us who are kind of business owners really think about? You can think about this stuff, but you actually have to have someone who gets it done. And you have to look at who's running your marketing so that you're actually attracting the right people, who's driving your operations. And to your point also, Martin, who is looking at the financial aspect of your business, helping you with models, making sure that you have the line items that say, I'm going to hire this person internally so that this function can be driven, so that you're not spending countless hours on doing exactly that. So
there's a whole, with our operation, we have a process tracker, which is like a directory of all the SOP, standard operating procedures. And what we like to do is document every time we have a new SOP, so that we can get it the workflow done, and we can get it organized in our directory, which we call a process tracker. And so we're very system oriented as an organization, because that helps us scale.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, don't you just love this conversation? This is amazing. This is fantastic. And so just really quickly, I just wanted to remind you, for those of you that are looking to create more options for yourself, get there faster, and do that with long distance investing, make sure that you go to billykeels.com/7 mistakes to avoid, so that you can avoid all those mistakes, get to your goals faster and sooner. Once again, that's billykeels.com/7 mistakes to avoid. Now back to the conversation. And listen, you're the expert on all things notes. And I love being able to have this conversation with you, because we're, helping people to get a wide scope. I want us to go kind of a little bit narrow now into the world of notes. And knowing that, I know that you're very passionate about helping others to gain that control of their financial life. I'm on the same journey, which is fantastic. And I want our Going Long family to understand a lot of the different tools that can help them do that. We have a lot of people that are very high paid IT sales executives, pharmaceutical. We have a lot of people that are doctors and lawyers, or legal professionals, medical professionals that are also part of our family, are part of the Going Long family.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit more, Martin, about, okay, so what are some people may have never heard of notes and exactly what they are. Maybe if you could give us that 101 class for the person that doesn't even know, and then potentially how that can help them as they want to live in one location and be able to invest in an asset that is not necessarily in the same place that they are.
Sure. So, gosh, where do I start? I'll start with what is note investing from the perspective of what we do it. And then I'm going to go in how I got started. And then I'm going to touch on the social good aspect.
Fantastic.
So the banks originate mortgages for people that want to buy homes. And once those mortgages are originated in the US market, about 4% go into default. There's something that goes on with someone's, they get a divorce, they get a health issue, or they lose their job. Generally, those are the three categories. And once those mortgages remain in default over a certain period of time, maybe 3-4 years, the bank bundles those into tranches and sells them into the secondary mortgage market at a discount at like 20, 30, 40 cents on the dollar to a hedge fund, like our hedge fund that we own. And we buy those pools of mortgages in. And in a very compassionate way, we go and we work with the homeowner to keep them in their home with the payment plan they can afford, because we brought these in at a discount. So we're able to make certain concessions to meet where they're at financially, and hopefully kind of meet in the middle and avoid foreclosure for that individual and help them get back on track. So that's really the heart of what I've been doing since 2013, past 8 years. And as far as Bequest Funds, our income fund, what that does is that buys performing mortgages whereby someone had a moment, a lapse in payments, and they got back on track, like I just mentioned, and they're re-seasoned. They've been making payments 12 months, 24 months, and they're back on track. They just had that moment in time. And so Bequest will buy them into our income fund at a discount, generally 12, 13% yield. And we pay our investors out at a 9% yield, annual yield, on a monthly basis. Gotcha. So every month, mortgage payments come into Bequest, and every month we pay out our investors as a result. Now, in terms of the social good.
Sorry, can I stop you there just one really quickly? Because I want to make sure that we don't leave anybody kind of behind. Because you mentioned a couple of things so far. So some people may say, okay, well, yeah, Martin, but you're only talking about 4% of the market. Like 4% doesn't really seem like you would be able to build a business on only 4%, if I understood that percentage correctly. So you have 100% of the population, 96% of them make their mortgage payments on time, every time, and so they don't have any issues. And then there is this very small 4% that has either a life event happen, divorce, or they lose their job, or some type of other event. And so maybe if people kind of understood maybe some of the numbers, what that small 4%, what that could represent, they'd probably go, oh, okay, well, I think that makes sense. Then I have a couple other questions.
It's tens of billions of dollars in mortgages, the 4%. So it's astronomical. And what's interesting about it is that there's many hedge funds that are just into flipping paper. So what that means is they're going to look to buy those mortgages from a bank at 30 cents on the dollar and flip them for 50 cents on the dollar. And so what that does is it doesn't provide a service to the homeowner. And it may end up to the point where where you just have a hedge fund that just files foreclosure and looks to take back the property. So they're looking to exit through the property. And when I bought my first 10 mortgage loans for $240,000 US in 2013, I only saw note investing from the prism of taking back the property, because that's what I learned note investing was about. But I got a loan modification on one of those notes, and I realized I can help keep the homeowner in their home so they're not displaced. I can create a long-term stream of cash flow for myself, and I can create a win-win for myself and the homeowner, as well as the economy as a whole. And so that's when I made it my life mission to keep homeowners in their homes with payments they can afford.
Perfect. And that's as you mentioned before, that ties in the social aspect of what we talked about and what we led with in the beginning. Fantastic. So there are a couple other, so people think about notes, and you said something earlier about performing and seasoned. So I know that there are different types of notes. You have a performing note, you have non-performing notes, et cetera. So maybe just in that, help people understand what that means. And then seasoning, when you talk about seasoning, I know what that means, but maybe a lot of people in the Going Long family have not heard that term used before.
Yeah, let me give an example. So let's say someone takes out a mortgage for $100,000, and after they take out the mortgage with the bank, they lose their job, and they're unable to pay on the mortgage. So $100,000 owed, and it takes them a year to find a new job. And once they find the new job, they still it's been something they don't want to come to terms with, so they kind of push it on the back burner. And now it's year 2, so they're 2 years in default, and there's probably $10,000 of past due money that's accrued to the account. So the bank decides, well, we're not going to get paid on this, so let's sell this to a hedge fund at $30,000. Well, that hedge fund goes and connects with the homeowner in a very genuine, transparent, compassionate way, and says, hey, Mr. Homeowner, how are things looking now? And they're like, oh, I just got a job. I just didn't know where to send the money to, but I'm back on track. Everything's good. But here's the thing. I'm supposed to be paying $600 a month for this obligation. But look at my financials, look at my pay stub, look at my, liability, my expenses. I can only really afford $450. So then we as a fund, we look at our internal rate of return. We look at our, calculations. Can we make it work given what we paid for it, given what we have involved in terms of labor and maybe some legal expenses and whatnot? And we say, yes, we can make it work. So then we create a loan modification for $450. And it meets what they're able to pay every month. It also solidifies the relationship that we worked with this individual, and now we have a relationship formed, and they see that we bended on this transaction. They see that we were compromising, that we were kind of giving it as a result. And so actually those mortgages tend to pay over the period of time. So this homeowner makes their payments every month, and now it's month 18. And remember, they're good individuals. They're A paper. They got a good loan. They got a good interest rate originally. So now it's what we call reseasoned, and BQuest funds will buy that into our income fund at 12, 13% yield, even though the interest rate, the coupon rate, is 6%. Or 7%. So we're not paying par for these mortgages. So we buy them in at a discount at 70, 80 cents on the dollar. That hedge fund still makes money, and they double their money, if you will. And then we have a performing asset in our fund by which we can pay out our investors on a monthly basis.
Okay. And that example is very, very helpful. And I guess probably one of the first questions in someone's mind would be, okay, well, that's great. You're doing something that's socially a positive. You're creating an opportunity for homeowners to stay in their home. They have now seen that you're that you're able to meet them in a place that makes sense for them. It makes sense for you. You now have a long-term stream of income, as well as a new client that has positive things to say about you and working with you and your company, which is fantastic. I guess one of the things that someone would say, well, yeah, and I have multiple properties, or I'm thinking about doing this, and it sounds fantastic, but what could be the challenge, or how frequently even though you go through your due diligence and you realize that someone fell down on their luck one time and you're giving them this new opportunity, and it seems that they're going over this 12 to 18 months, how frequently does it in month 21 or 22 start to fall into the same pattern because life happened again to the same individual, like lightning strikes twice in the same place? How frequently would you say that would happen, or if not, how frequently is that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, the capital preservation question, protecting investors' capital, as well as, what's worst case scenario? Well, borrowers stop making their payments. So we have we have a 96% collectability percentage for our company, which is above the 90% collectability percentage industry wide. So what we do is we have a dedicated person where their sole job is to monitor the performance of these paying mortgages and to connect with the homeowner if there's any issue or any slowdown in the payments. So we monitor this on a daily basis. That's like first and foremost. But in terms of capital preservation, recall the situation where we're buying these mortgages in at 70, 80 cents on the dollar. So what that means is our investment to value ratio, we keep it under 65%. So that's essentially like an LTV, loan to value. Banks are conservative and they lend at an 80% loan to value. We are at a 65% investment to value because we buy it in at a discount. So what that means is if you have a $200,000 mortgage, $200,000 property, we are going to be in that investment for no more than $130,000. So if we do, and we haven't had to foreclose on a single property in our fund, in our income fund, if we do have to foreclose, we have an equity cushion by which we're going to have a capital gains play at the end.
Gotcha. Okay. And that makes a lot of sense. In that respect to, some people would say, well, yeah, 65 is lower than 80. Well, yes, it is, but that's a more conservative position, which ultimately helps to protect the capital, as you talked about, the preservation of capital for investors. So, yeah, I guess the biggest thing, I guess at this point is we talked. You're very helpful in terms of understanding some of the potential challenges that can happen, but also just thinking about this. We've got a bunch of people that are here that are high-paid professionals that are busy, that like what they're doing in their day jobs, like they do like their jobs, and they're just realizing that, as you said before, like there's something more out there, and we can have more control. So, I guess maybe talk about a lot of the potential upside. You've helped to give us an education in terms of notes and where they are. But for that busy professional that's thinking, wow, you know what, this actually is something that I would like to learn a little bit more about, and how I could have this as another potential tool to help me get to this part of my own personal or my family's goals in terms of creating more income streams. Talk to us about that maybe a bit.
So I think everything starts with a financial statement. Everyone needs to have a current living financial statement that they look at on at least a weekly basis. So looking at all your income, expenses, assets, and liabilities, it's simple rich dad 101, right? Yep. And so I do this as a practice, but not only do I do that, I look at what my active income amount is as compared to what my passive income is.
Awesome.
And then I also break out my expenses in terms of what's personal expense versus what goes through the company and everything. I have some other metrics that I look at. And so the objective is to over time, your active income's up here, your passive is here. Maybe it's at zero, which is cool. Yeah, exactly. Your active needs to drop out of the picture, and you need to be 100% passive income. But it starts with understanding what that number is and looking at your financial statement. So if that number is, and you always hear this, right? Like 10,000 a month, like everyone kind of throws that out as the magic number. Well, what does that look like in terms of an investment into an income fund like Bequest funds? Well, if you are, I think it would come out to about 1.3 million invested into Bequest funds. So if you put $1 million in, let's say, then you would receive 9%, which is $90,000 US dollars per year divided by 12. And that would be your monthly passive income. And that money is ACH'd into your bank account at the first of every month. Or you let it compound at 9.38% if you don't need it. It's totally your call. But the point is, whatever that magic number is for where you need to see your passive income, then you need to understand what that number is and then back into it with understanding how much you need to invest in certain vehicles like Bequest funds to achieve what you need to see passively.
Yeah, and I love how you break that down. It's one of the things that I enjoy. I mean, I'm a big fan of. There's a board game called Cash Flow for Kids. I like to play that with my children. And the fact that when you can, for many of us, as you start working and you get into this whole active income thing, you think, wow, I'm going to work more. I'm going to get a bigger bonus check. And you're like, yeah, but all of that, number one, you're working, so you're putting in time and energy. And so you're usually going to pay a large portion of that to the tax man. And when you can start to get the whole concept of active versus passive, and then understanding the different benefits or not that could happen from a tax perspective, and just the fact that you're putting your time or not into generating income is something that, and once again, while a lot of the Going Long family here is to learn more ways to make sure that you're not just actively creating income, but you're also, you're using your time to learn more and then be able to place your capital in areas that are going to give you a better return on your time.
Yeah, no, that's great. And most people think of it in terms of they need to create and solidify active income, and then they throw off money to earn passive income. But what about the scenario where if you have entrepreneurial aspirations, like what your show touches on, helping people understand and gain confidence that they can invest abroad and build businesses for themselves? What if you go and you have some capital and then you invest in a passive income vehicle, and that way that you're having passive income that's going to support your lifestyle while you go out, quit your job, and go out in an entrepreneurial endeavor to go build a business overseas or locally or what have you.
Yeah, wherever you want. Just it gives you a lot more. It gives you more options. Absolutely gives you more options to be able to do that. So, I think that I cannot believe these conversations go so fast. I say it every week, but like one of the things is I want to start to get into the Going Long Final 3. But the thing is, Martin, I never ask anybody to go along Final 3 unless they tell me, and that means you today, unless you tell me that you're ready for me to ask you to go along Final 3. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
I knew it. You're ready to roll, ready to rock and roll. Here we go.
Yes.
Here we go.
Yes, sir.
Cool. So Martin, listen, we started with you on the other side of the Atlantic, at least I guess where I would say normally, with you and your wife and your beautiful 4 children in Sarasota, Florida.
Thank you.
I'd like to bring it back or take it over to Europe today and have you share with us, what is your favorite European city that you've either visited or is still on your bucket list to visit?
Yeah, so I've only visited Cologne, so I really was fond of that city, but I'd love to visit Rome at some point and just kind of from a historical perspective, see all the sites there.
All right, awesome. So should it be Cologne, or would you want to go with Rome as your? I'm
going to go with Rome.
Going with Rome. Okay, awesome.
Yes.
And it is an amazing place. It is an amazing place. It's awesome. We've got lots of good friends that are there. So if you need recommendations, also we're going to stay in touch. So you let me know. And
yes,
talk to you about some places to visit there. So that was the first one. The second question, and it has really a lot to do with the things that I've seen with really successful people, and I consider you to be someone who is very successful.
Thank you.
In that, I've noticed these patterns with successful people. And the thing is most successful, if not all successful people, have really gotten to be successful, Martin, because during their trajectory, they don't make any mistakes at all. And they get everything right. Hang on a second. Did I just say that? I think I did.
They don't make any more.
It's by design. It's by design. The Going Long family's in on
I was following you. I was tracking you.
So here's the thing. It's kind of a joke. But the reality is, there is something different about really successful people. And the thing is that they make a whole lot more mistakes than most people. Like a whole lot more.
Yes.
But they do fundamentally do one thing very differently, Martin. And this is something that I've seen. And it is that very successful people stop and learn every single time that there was a mistake. And not only did they learn from a mistake, they then go and put steps in place to try to minimize that exact same mistake from happening again. Yeah. And so I would love for you to share, not all the mistakes, but just if you can just think of one really major kind of thing that happened to you, but more importantly, what was the lesson that you learned that is going to make a difference for the Going Long family to hear today? What is that one lesson you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, so I'd say that hiring an employee whereby their standard operating procedures weren't fully mapped out, so roles and responsibilities were not clear. So these individuals, it was kind of like bringing them in and kind of willy-nilly figuring it out as you go. And so it's difficult to hold people's feet to the fire, have metrics that they need to meet on a daily basis or monthly basis or what have you, when you haven't clearly defined their role and what the expectations are from that individual. So I'd say clarity around job descriptions is critical. And I've done it both ways.
Yeah. That makes two of us. So that's fantastic. So thanks so much for having that clarity of roles and responsibilities, and being able to help guide your organization, your team, whatever the case may be. So,
of course,
I mentioned earlier that, and this is going into the third of the Going Long Final Three. You are a 5-time published author. We'll include those in the show notes for today, but also would love to have you kind of wrap things up by helping us to feed our minds once again. And what is the one book that you would recommend for the Going Long family today, Martin?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to go with Michael Gerber, E-Myth, and go old school with it. Like you had mentioned him earlier. It's just such a significant book to think big out of the gate and have systems in place to kind of build towards it and build yourself out of the business since day one. So it's just beginning with the end in mind kind of thing. Stephen Covey, those are timeless. I mean, there's so many small business operators and so many investors that carry anxiety around. I talk to investors daily, and they're glued to the stock market. They're glued to every political event that's going on, and life isn't meant to carry such anxiety and burdens around with you. True freedom, I found, is not so much the financial piece. It's really responsibility, and it's a responsibility to serve others. So I view my freedom in the blessing in as it relates to being able to write books, being able to spend time with you. Like, this is my freedom right here. Is I don't have to go and report to someone right now. I can spend this time with you, having a good time, which I'm having a really good time. And then this makes my day better. And it serves other people.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. So appreciate that. And once again, the reference to the E-Myth and Michael Gerber. Fantastic book. And absolutely. So appreciate that. And, I'm just thinking about, from the very beginning of the conversation, you're talking to us about not just getting started, or I guess I talked about you in the exhibits and museum exhibit stuff. And also then you being able to share with us, not only being a father of 4, but living in Sarasota and having gone through, lots of different levels of education, formal education, getting into your corporate career. After that, moving into being a business owner, and then also finding a space where not only as someone who is gaining and has gained control over your most important asset, which is your time, you're now on a mission to go out and help others and do this in a way that it makes a positive social impact, as well as being able to create positive streams of income, which create more options and choices for every individual to be able to have. I know that, I'm definitely going to stay in touch with you. And I know that there are so many people from the Going Long family that are thinking, man, this Martin guy is amazing. And BQuest Funds is it sounds something like I really want to know more about. How can I get in touch with him? How can I find out more about that? So can you do us a favor, Martin? Tell us how the entire Going Long family can find out more about you and more about what you're doing at BQuest Funds, please.
Yeah, I mean, you can send me an email at martin@bqfunds.com, and that's funds.com, or you can go to bqfunds.com to find out more information. And it doesn't even have to be reaching out because you want to invest or what have you. I mean, we would love that. But if you just have a general question, I'll be happy to help.
All right, fantastic. So Going Long family, go over to bqfunds.com. I went over there. It's a beautiful website, lots of information. And also Martin has left his email so you can get in touch with him. And we'll include those in the show notes as well. So Martin, I just would like to thank you on behalf of the entire Going Long family for investing your time with us today. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart, man. Thank you.
Thanks, Billy. Appreciate you.
All right. Likewise. And Going Long family, listen, Martin has given us so much value. Once again, he's giving you a way for you to reach out to him, learn from him. And I would say definitely take him up on the offer. And I want to thank you for investing your time with Martin and I today. And so I'll be really looking forward to welcoming you back on the very next conversation. So until then, go out and make it a great day. And thank you very much. Wow, don't you love hearing from top-notch experts in the field? When I was getting started, I really wish that I would have had access to such experts. And even more, I wish they would have given me a really simple list of things to follow so that I could have gotten to my goals much faster and been much happier even sooner. So that's why I've created for you the 7 things that you should avoid in order to be successful in long distance investing. And you can pick that up really easily by going to billykeels.com/7 things to avoid. And also, if you liked today's episode, don't forget to leave a 5-star review. I'm looking forward to seeing you on our very next episode, so go out and make it a great day.